In this video, I will give you the 4 best sex positions for the most intense vagina stimulation during sex. Obviously, every sex position will stimulate the vagina, but there are 4 sex positions that will stimulate the vagina most intensely. If you know what you are doing, those sex positions allow you to move through several most important sensitive areas inside the vagina and access them in the most effective way for the maximum sensation. So this is not a random selection of sex positions that I googled or imagined from my personal adventures. This is data from 20 years of me working with women, specializing in female sexuality, and these are my observations for what really works for women during sex. So a couple of quick things about sex positions. First of all, sex positions by themselves don't do anything. It is what you can do in the sex position, how you can move and what you can stimulate that creates good sex. So it's not about how pretty it looks or how unusual it looks, it's about what you can stimulate there. Secondly, I'm not a big fan of teaching very long, useless lists of 70 different sex positions just to be impressive. So many positions don't make much difference, they don't really make good sex. A lot of them are really stressful and acrobatic, you can't move properly, you get tired very quickly, you do a lot of huffing and puffing, but not good stimulation of the actual pleasure zones with good control. It is much better to pick a few positions that you know you're definitely going to do, they're quite easy to do, you can do them for a long time, but really get good at them and really adjust them in a way that gives you the best stimulation from them. So what is important for us in a good sex position that will stimulate the vagina intensely? Let me explain to you first of all. Let's rehash the sensitive areas that we have in the vagina that are stimulated during sex. You can also watch my video on 5 sensitive areas inside the vagina. That will be very informative for you to get more detail about where the vagina feels pleasure. So during sex, we are basically talking about 2 areas that are going to be stimulated by penetration. There's going to be all the area around the opening. When the penis is going inside, is going to be stretching that area, and that will give pleasure, it will be stimulated. And the other area we're really going to feel is at the back, the cervical area. That's going to be quite intense for a woman if stimulated correctly. The G-spot in the middle is going to be stimulated on the way indirectly, so there isn't really a good way to directly stimulate it properly. So we're not going to attempt it, it's just going to give extra sensation, but mainly we are going to be stimulating around the opening and at the back. So therefore, what do we need from a good sex position to stimulate the vagina well? Swing, depth, and relaxation. Swing, so we have freedom of movement, so we can swing pretty easily to stimulate the opening. Depth, so we have access, the best access to the depth of the vagina to stimulate the back. And relaxation. In that sex position, we need to be fairly relaxed so that we can be in it for some time, to stimulate for some time with good control. So after some deliberation, I have decided to not include any imagery or depiction of the actual sex positions in this video. And this is because YouTube regulations, they always change about these things. So it's always difficult to predict what is going to be okay and what isn't. So I'm just going to explain the positions. But I promise you, what I will tell you will be worth your while. So number 1 is the good old man on top, aka Missionary. It's actually a great position. It doesn't need to be super extravagant. This is a great position for stimulating the vagina. It is not the most intense, but it is the most holistic, and it has a lot going on. So what I would do is not be on your stretched out arms, but be on your elbows, so you can get a bit closer to each other and you will feel more of each other's bodies. So the man needs to be swinging quite loosely on knees and elbows, and that gives really good control of the movement. And what you can do in that position then is that it's quite easy to control that movement going all the way in and out of the vagina. So you're stimulating this opening really nicely all the way through, and you have pretty good access to the depth of the vagina. Now in this position you don't get the deepest access, but that's actually a good thing to start with because a lot of women can't handle a lot of stimulation in the cervix straight away. It needs to be warmed up, so this is a great position to start. You're not going to go too deep, you're not going to get it uncomfortable, but you are going to start stimulating it. So in this position it is good to just do this, longer swings all the way through. That will stimulate the whole of the vagina. And when you go deep, also with your pelvic bone, you're going to be pressing on the clitoris, so you're going to give even more stimulation there. In addition, it is a very nice position because it envelops the woman and lets her feel her whole body being held. So that actually adds more sensation to the vagina. So in this position, it is also good to play with some shallow movement to stimulate this area and some deeper movement all the way through, and then sometimes staying in the depth and just pressing there, stimulating there. By the way, I also recommend you to watch my video on the 4 types of vaginal orgasms during sex. That will help you to understand what kind of experiences you can create here in these sex positions. If you want to become that amazing lover, you can also check out my complete online program for men. where I teach you all the sexual techniques and everything you need to know to become that amazing lover for women. See the link below the video. Now, the second position is where the man is still on top, but the woman really raises her legs far back. So her legs are going like this, with her knees around here or something. And the guy will need to support himself on the stretched out arms here. So her legs are going to be generally resting either on his arms or on his shoulders even. So what happens in this position is that the vagina changes angle and the vagina becomes shorter, and that means that from this position you are accessing it far more deeply. So this is great for stimulating the cervical area and for the experience of the cervical orgasm. You have to be careful here. You have to just gently probe it first and see how the woman is feeling. This is a very useful position if the woman has quite a long vagina, so it allows the vagina to be shorter and to be stimulated more intensely. But some women have a vagina that is quite short, so it might be uncomfortable. You have to be careful here. Maybe you even want to avoid this position if it is too uncomfortable. But this gives a very strong stimulation to the cervical area. By the way, if you want to understand in detail how to stimulate the cervical area for that experience of the cervical orgasm, I have a free course for you on cervical orgasms. You can download it by following the link below this video in the description. It's completely free for you. It covers all the detail about how to give the cervical orgasm, including the positions. Also, please like this video if you're enjoying it and subscribe to my channel. The next most intense position is the position from behind, your classic doggy style, where the guy is on his knees and the woman is on all fours. This gives the same stimulation as the missionary, but more intense, meaning that you can be moving with quite a lot of control through the opening, and you can really play with it. You can really go a bit more shallow, a bit more slow, a bit more fast, a bit more deep, a bit more shallow, so you can play with different movements there. That will be really nice for the woman. And then you can build up to going deeper and staying deep and just holding it deep and a little bit rocking and pushing into it to stimulate the cervix. So it's good to alternate the stimulation of the opening of the vagina and the deep area of the vagina. And in this position, you're going to have a lot of control to do that, and it's going to feel quite intense for the woman. Now, it's just important to build up gradually. You don't really start with that position because it's going to be uncomfortable for the vagina for a lot of women. And if you start there, it's important to build up the movement gradually, little by little, particularly being careful how deep you go and going deep very gently and just staying there and just trying to push gently a little bit further to see if the woman is comfortable. Now, the more intense variation of this sex position is when the woman is actually lying completely flat on her front and the guy is going from behind and he's supporting himself on stretched out arms again. The woman can tilt her pelvis upwards a little bit as well. The woman can have her legs close together, or she can actually spread them really wide apart and the guy can be in between her legs. Now, in this sex position, what happens is that something happens in the angles of the bodies together and the angle within the woman's body, that there is a lot deeper stimulation for her in this sex position than even in the doggy position. So somehow you can just get deeper into it. So like before, like with the position on the front, you have to be careful with it. You have to make sure that she's quite warmed up by that point. But potentially you can then go really deep, and that will be a really intense stimulation in the cervical area for the woman. And there is also quite a lot of swing here to be moving through the opening as well, that allows you to move through the opening. To stimulate that really nicely, quite strongly, and also going deep and then stimulate it there quite strongly as well. So these positions actually leverage the sensitive areas inside the vagina most intensely. You will see a lot of other positions, this and that, and corkscrew and wheelbarrow and ducks flying through the bamboo forest and whatever. But it is often difficult to get kind of sustained control, or it doesn't allow you to move enough through the opening, or it doesn't quite reach deep enough to stimulate there. So this, a lot of the time there are these drawbacks. So, it just looks cool that there are 70 positions on a panel of images, but they don't actually do much. These 4 sex positions, if you really invest into exploring them, will give you some very strong sexual energy for the woman during the intercourse. So enjoy, and don't forget to download your free guide to the cervical stimulation and cervical orgasms. It is in the description below the video. Just follow the link. It's completely free for you. By the way, also watch this video later on a good intercourse technique, how to actually move really nicely in these sex positions to give the best sensation.